Oh my god. Last night, I went to go see James Gunn's Superman. And clearly, if not very obviously, I felt I had to do something about the occasion. I mean, how much do you get to wear a goddamn cape, son? That might have been one of the most refreshing superhero movies we have seen in a while. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I'm a big fan of James Gunn's work. I'm not a diehard Guardians of the Galaxy fan. I'm not. I like those movies. I've seen every single one of them. I don't even really regard them as my favorite Marvel movies per se. But James Gunn has done more for DC, in my opinion, than anything. Let's start with Superman specifically. I don't mean like Superman the movie. I mean Superman the Superman. I have never given a shit about him. And that's, right off the bat, that's a divisive statement to say, right? Well, if you have nothing to say on Superman because you're not a fan of Superman. I would argue I had to be sold on Superman to go see it. I did not care for many of the... And that's not to say I didn't see many of the DC... the pre-James Gunn, the Snyder DC stuff. I did. I saw all the Shazam movies. I saw Black Adam in theater. I saw the first Aquaman. I saw the Snyder Cut before I ever even saw Justice League. I still haven't seen Justice League because you'd be fucking crazy to go see that movie. That movie looks like it sucks ass. And that's kind of why, right? That's why James Gunn is in all this. I was sold on this movie purely through James Gunn's work with the Suicide Squad, which I actually did see the original Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad. His work with the Peacemaker HBO series was the thing that purely sold me that, oh my god, anything DC with James Gunn's name on it is now officially something I will sit down and watch. Because I trust that man. If DC was a baby, I would trust James Gunn to not put it in a microwave. With that preamble kind of aside, it did take me a while to go see the movie. I've been pretty bad at going to see movies lately. I have to watch the 2016 Ghostbusters movie now because we're playing LEGO Dimensions on the streaming channel. So I'm going to make sure I go give that a fair shake too. So expect a review of that, I assume, as well. To start, the movie starts with a trope in and of itself now, right? We are very clearly living in a post-origin story world in superhero cinema. We are done with, we have solidified the comic book hero as its own mythos, where if you go to a theater, you are now expected to know who Superman is. And I think, to the person that maybe says, I don't like that. I don't like that they don't establish who he is now. I don't like that Spider-Man, the MCU Spider-Man movies don't have him being bit by the spider. I don't like that, Superman starts that way. This is healthy for us. Can you imagine, frankly, could you imagine a Mickey Mouse movie in the year of our Lord 2025? I would actually probably like it. But, it's like, if I go into a house and I say, does everybody know who Mickey Mouse is? They go, yes. Does anybody know who Mario is? They go, yes. That's because we've lived with these legacy characters for generations. Period. So we can move past the origin story. We don't need it. And hey, I guess I'll take any dig at the Mario Brothers movie I can, apparently. Oh well. Instead, I do kind of want to talk about this is a very big nitpick to really start how much I liked the movie. White text in Antarctica. I don't really know if they saw that and they were like kind of okay with it. The movie really moves you by. I think that there was some consistency, or there was some inconsistency behind the scenes where they wanted to start, but they had to put a bunch of text on screen. Because they go like, 300 years ago, metahumans existed. 30 years ago, Superman dropped down to Earth and was raised in Kansas. 3 minutes ago, he lost his first battle. Cute. I think it's weird that it was centered to the left of the frame and also was white text on snow. That was a little dumb in my opinion, but that's a pretty big nitpick for a movie that I have so many positive things to that I got out of it. I mean, one thing I've never truly thought I would care about is casting. I think every person, and this is going to sound crazy, because I don't even know the guy. I will call him Superman. I think Superman is a better Superman than Henry Cavill. I think Henry Cavill is a muscular man with a somewhat of a jaw. I agree with you on that. But that's not Superman. That was like a Michael Bay-ian Superman that we had. This guy that portrays him, and again, you'll have to forgive me because I don't really look up actors' names unless they're like recognizable. So I'm not really in this for like the star name of it all. And I think it's good. I think it's great that I don't recognize anybody immediately from the cast, because that means that we're going back to what we should be, which is casting actors that nobody fucking knows about in these big movies. That's good for the industry. I don't want any more Rock. I don't. Right. And obviously I'm a huge fan of Peacemaker, so the fact that Peacemaker... And by the way, there's spoilers in this, if you can't tell. I think I put it in the title already. I'm so happy we got 5 seconds of Peacemaker in this film. It was great. Superman is cast amazingly. Lois Lane is cast well, I would say. Lex Luthor also cast very well. And, you know, I don't know Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, but that is such a new to me, and I would assume the general movie-going, not comic book reading audience, that it almost kind of... There was a lot of friction in my head to be like, why the fuck is this guy a Green Lantern? I thought they were all supposed to be like, you know, hoity-toity green dudes, and I thought the red ones were the guys that were assholes. And that makes me want to know more about him, right? Nathan Fillion, I think, is the actor. I only know that because of The Rookie. Don't come at me. I don't even watch that show. But, you know, I know him because he's in every James Gunn movie. So is James Gunn's brother. And they're all doing such a well job. The sleeper hit of this movie, the character, I want to give it to 2, but I'm going to put him in a separate category for a second. The, of all time, best character in this movie, for me, was Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific, I have no idea who he is. I really don't even know that he has original powers that we haven't seen before. I don't know that he's not just stock Cyborg, in my opinion. But his attitude, the actor that portrayed him, and the feats that he pulled off, and the narrative purpose that he served, awesome, amazing, outstanding, crazy funny, right? And I mean, obviously, this is a point I'm going to make now about the dog, Crypto. I did not expect Crypto was going to be in the movie this much. I actually thought Crypto was just supposed to be a 5-second cameo at the end of the film. So the fact that Crypto is such an integral part of this plot, and it's not even his dog. It's not. It's Supergirl's. The fact that Crypto stayed so much in the film, I would say is good, if not for one of the downsides in this film, I would say, which is that maybe I'm getting old, maybe my eyes are getting better, but the CGI in this movie was very, very obvious at certain times, and I think that is to the detriment of the film. I think when I'm able to see that the dog is so fucking obviously like a CGI dog, it really takes me out of it. And I think because of that, I would have wanted a little bit less of him. I don't, you know, if you're telling me that we can start putting Superman in this, like, cage and just have him, like, go through a Universal 3D ride instead of having to green screen him and shit, and we're doing that now instead of all the green screen slop, I think that's great. I think there's got to be some way you can use a real dog in these movies. I know it's based off of James Gunn's dog as well. Again, the fact that we start already knowing stuff, we don't even have to do Lois Lane figuring out he's Superman. Thank God. Instead, now we get to deal with the much more interesting narrative purpose of how does she stay with Superman? And that's tackled in this film. And it's also, you know, they bring up his hypno glasses instead of just letting him kind of. They bring up his hypno glasses instead of letting him just kind of fault, or instead of letting the audience just be like, why is he? I think I would have been able to figure out Clark Kent was Superman. No, you couldn't, dork. It's hypno glasses. Take that. Take that to the Daily Planet, nerd. Lex Luthor is an incredible. I mean, and there is a lot going on. The movie did feel like it kind of kept going and going and going after a certain point. And while I was happy and I definitely wanted more out of it, even I was kind of like, wow, we're still wrapping shit up. Lex Luthor literally funds an entire third world war. Not third world war. Like an entire war in a third world country just to give people a reason to hate Superman. He kidnaps his dog. He kidnaps his ex-girlfriends in pocket dimensions. This is comical levels of supervillainy that we have been desperately needing. And the best part is, at the end of the movie, he goes to jail. He's not dead. He's not defeated. There's not going to be some bullshit where they bring him back. He's just gone shafted. I can't wait for him to come back because we know he's going to come back. And I can't wait. He has... And this was the craziest part. He has islands of not islands per se, but an entire company of just acolytes and cultists that follow his every whim and every word. And all those dudes hate Superman too. Literally just because they like Lex Luthor. You can't, in our society today, you can't even be like, that's unrealistic. Go on Twitter. Maybe you'll deal with monkeys paid for by LexCorp. Which was another absolute highlight of the film for me. The fact that there's just monkeys typing hashtag super shit and super harem. Actually funny as hell. And really quickly, to talk about the comedy of this film. The comedy of this film, for me specifically, and comedy is subjective. Maybe I think things are funny that you don't think are funny, and that's okay. But for me, and for people like me, I want to say, this film had the perfect sense of humor. It wasn't joking all the time. And instead, a lot of the jokes came from how genuine the characters' reactions were. The sentence that sold me on Superman happens super fast into the movie. It's like one of the beginning lines when he first comes back and he's first talking with Krypto. I heard Superman go, "What the hey, dude?" Sold. The Superman is such a dork, and he's so genuine. And he's so hopeful and trusting. And I like that the film was like, well, maybe that's kind of punk rock. Because it is. It is. I'm sorry, kids. Support your local scenes. Be there for your community. Because caring is cool. And caring is punk as fuck. Because we live in a world where they don't want you to. They want you to hate everyone. But, him and Mr. Terrific in the final battle. And Mr. Terrific's like, hey, Superman! What are you doing? Get up here. We need your help. I think that was a really poorly delivered, corny line, but I will take 5 more of those lines because it perfectly served Superman to just, roll over after the final battle and be like, hey man, I am doing important stuff. The fact that I'm able to quote these moments from the film says so much to me about how much it stayed with me and how much I was laughing in that theater from how successful it was at being naturally funny. I don't mean like, well, you know what they say, Lex. Everybody that's bald is evil. They don't do that. It just rolls off the tongue. And I mean, Lex is funny too. He's like, no, get this. White crusty dog. Beautiful. Beautifully put together all around. I'm obsessed with the twist that Superman's parents are actually doing. They actually secretly wanted him to take over the planet. That's genius. I actually didn't believe it myself until everyone in the movie started taking it seriously. And Superman started dealing with it. I fully thought Lex was on some bullshit. No, that is a real fascinating character moment and like struggle that you put him through. And it worked. It worked so well. Because then we got that sweet, so genuine third act kind of swap where instead of his Kryptonian parents, it's his Earth parents. And they're the ones that really raised him and they're the ones that are his real parents or whatever. That was so beautiful, so sincere. To me, this movie is sincere. And I loved it. I loved it so much. I don't do number ratings. I will just say you should go see this film. Any film that can make me care about Jimmy Olsen. Let me say this really quickly. I don't care about Superman a lot. I don't read the comics. I haven't watched any of the shows. So again, when I said they sold me on Superman, I meant they sold me. That movie looked so fun, so colorful. The cinematography, everything. There were so many scenes, even with Luthor, where the sun is in the shot somewhere, beaming light into every scene. Jimmy Olsen is just a character to me. I've never known about him. I didn't even know he was Superman's best friend. And I mean, in this movie, you also you couldn't see that. And I think that's fine, because I think that's something they can develop, and I would rather see them develop. And I think, honestly, for the general public that knows Superman and Lois Lane, probably doesn't know Jimmy Olsen, there's now this new mythology you can raise in the journey of them being friends. And I want to see that. I would love to see them two become friends. To think that Jimmy Olsen would have some of the funniest parts of this film and be such a knockout character to me is absurd. I loved him so much. My whole theater loved him. My theater was very small, but so many people could not stop enjoying this film. Laughing, smiling, it was amazing. The vibe was so incredible. And I sincerely, sincerely, sincerely need you to go see this movie, because it was fantastic. I also probably need to start turning off my phone when I do these recordings. So hopefully you can forgive me on that. Hey, I will see you around. Please go see Superman if you haven't gotten the chance to. I am so excited for Peacemaker Season 2. If they're going to do anything else with the Creature Commandos, I can't wait. Whatever's next, I want to see it. Thank you.